The market was full of noise. People walked fast. Some shouted prices, others pushed their way through. It was a normal busy day. But for a little girl named Maya, it was not just another day. Maya was 12 years old. Her face looked tired. Her clothes were torn, and her feet were bare. She held 3 dirty coins in her hand, her only money. She looked at the bread stall. The bread was old and dry, but it was all she could afford. I want to buy that one, Maya said softly, pointing at the smallest bread. The bread seller was a big woman with sharp eyes and a loud voice. She looked at Maya's coins and laughed. "This, you want bread with this garbage money? Go beg somewhere else," she shouted. People around turned and looked. Some laughed. Others ignored her. Maya's hands shook. "Please, I haven't eaten since yesterday." The woman grabbed a piece of bread and threw it at Maya. "Take it and go, you street rat." Maya bent to pick it up, but her hand slipped. The bread fell in the dust. The seller's face turned red. "You dropped it, stupid girl?" Then suddenly, slap. Her hand hit Maya's cheek so hard that the little girl fell to the ground. Maya looked up with teary eyes. Her cheek was red. Her body shook with fear. Around her, people watched and whispered. No one helped. No one stopped the woman. Just then, a black car stopped near the stall. The driver stepped out first. Then from the back seat, a tall man came out. He wore a dark coat, his shoes shined. His face looked calm, but his eyes were sharp. He walked slowly toward the crowd. People moved aside. They knew he was rich. He stood near Maya, who was still on the ground. He looked at the bread seller and said in a deep, calm voice, "Did you just slap this child?" "She dropped the bread," the woman said, "and she has no real money." The man didn't shout. He didn't move. He just said one sentence that made everyone quiet. "She's not trash." The market froze. No one said a word. The man bent down, took out a clean handkerchief, and gently wiped Maya's face. "Are you hurt?" Maya looked at him with wide eyes. She had never seen anyone like him. She didn't speak. She was too shocked. The man turned to his driver. "Pay the woman." The driver gave the bread seller more money than the bread was worth. Then the man handed Maya the bread. "Eat this and remember, you are not garbage, you are a human being." Maya took the bread slowly. She didn't say thank you, not because she was rude, but because her voice was lost. Her heart was beating fast. No one had ever spoken to her like that. The man stood and walked back to his car. The door closed. The engine started. Maya watched the car drive away. She stood still. Her hand held the bread, but her mind was full of questions. Who was he? She thought. Why did he help me? What does he want? She walked away from the market, holding the bread like it was treasure. People still stared at her, but she didn't care now. That one sentence was stuck in her mind. She's not trash. No. One had ever said anything kind to her in years. That stranger didn't know her name. He didn't know her story, but he still stood for her. Why? Maya walked toward the alley where she usually slept. Her eyes were wet, but this time the tears were warm, not cold like before. In her heart, a small light had turned on. The alley was dark and smelled of old food and smoke. Maya sat behind a trash bin, hugging her knees. Her cheek still hurt from the slap, but her heart felt something new. Hope. She looked at the piece of bread in her hand. She hadn't eaten it yet. It was dry and rough, but it was hers. And the words of the man kept repeating in her mind, "You are not garbage. You are a human being." She had heard many things in her short life, names like rat, beggar, filthy girl. But never anything kind, never anything like that. She took a small bite. It tasted better than anything she had eaten in days. Maya didn't know who the man was. She didn't know his name or why he helped her. But she knew. He was different. He looked at her like she was someone, not something. A life on the streets, Maya's life, had never been easy. She didn't remember her mother much, just the smell of flowers and the sound of a soft voice singing lullabies. Her mother died when Maya was 4. After that, her father changed. He drank every day, he shouted, he hit her. He blamed her for everything. One day he didn't come back home. Maya waited for 2 days. Then she walked out and never returned. She began living in the streets, picking up bottles, stealing leftover food, and hiding from bad people. She had no friends, no family, and no name that anyone remembered. People called her the street girl or that child. Maya didn't go to school. She didn't play. Her only game was survival. But now, one rich man had stopped and helped her. The man with the kind eyes. The next morning, Maya woke up early. Her body ached from the cold. She washed her face using rainwater from a broken pipe. As she chewed the last piece of bread, she kept looking at the street. She hoped, just a little, that she might see that black car again. But it never came. She went to the market again, but stayed far from the bread stall. People still looked at her. Some whispered, others laughed. But no one hit her today. She sold some flowers she picked from a garden. She made just enough to buy water and a boiled egg. At night, she returned to the alley. But this time, something was waiting for her. A mystery. Meal near her usual sleeping spot. She saw a box. Inside was a clean blanket, a fresh sandwich, and a small note. The note read, "You are not alone. Eat and rest well." Maya looked around. No one was there. Her heart started beating fast. Who had left it? Was it him? The man with kind eyes? She waited, but no one came. She sat down and ate the sandwich slowly. It was soft and warm. She wrapped herself in the blanket. For the first time in years, she didn't sleep on cold stone. And before she closed her eyes, she whispered, "Thank you, whoever you are." The search begins. Across the city, inside a big glass building, Mr. Rayan sat in his office. He looked at a photo on his desk, a young girl with a bright smile and long hair. He closed his eyes. She would have been Maya's age by now. He called his assistant. "Find that girl from the market, quietly. I want to know her name, where she sleeps, everything." "But sir, she's just a street kid." Rayan's voice turned cold. "She is not just anything. Do what I said." His assistant nodded and left. Rayan leaned back in his chair. His heart was heavy. He didn't understand why he cared about this girl. He had never stopped like that before, but something about her eyes, her pain, felt familiar. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was fate. Suspense builds. Maya had no idea she was being searched for. She didn't know a man was thinking about her every hour. She didn't know that her life was about to change forever. All she knew was that, for the first time, someone had seen her, and that one sentence still played in her mind like a song. "You are not garbage, you are a human being." The city was noisy, but Maya had learned to hear the quiet things. The sound of a rat moving. The soft footsteps of someone trying not to be seen. The wind touching old papers on the street. She had trained herself to listen because the streets were full of danger. But tonight, something felt different. She was lying under her new blanket, warm for the first time in weeks. The sandwich from the mystery box had filled her stomach. She held the small note in her hand like it was treasure. "You are not alone." Maya didn't know who had written it, but it made her feel safe, even if only for a little while. She closed her eyes, but someone was watching. Eyes in the shadows, a man stood across the street, behind a tree. He was dressed in black, and his face stayed hidden under a cap. He didn't move. He just watched her as she slept. This man wasn't like others. He didn't come to hurt. He came to see. He pulled out a small photo from his pocket, a picture of a baby girl and a woman smiling beside her. He stared at the photo, then looked at Maya. He whispered, "Could it be?" Then he slowly walked away, leaving behind no sound, no clue. But Maya felt something. She opened her eyes. Her heart was beating fast. She sat up and looked around. No one. But the feeling didn't go away. The next morning when Maya woke up, the sun was already high. She rubbed her eyes and stretched her legs. She looked beside her. Another box. This time there was a bottle of milk, a clean t-shirt, and another note. "Wear this. Stay strong." Maya looked around quickly. Who's doing this? No one answered. She touched the t-shirt. It was soft, white with little pink flowers on the sleeve. She had not worn clean clothes in years. Her fingers trembled. Slowly, she put it on. It was a little big, but felt like magic. She walked to the market, her head slightly higher, still barefoot, still hungry for answers, but not invisible anymore. Back at the office, Mr. Rayan stood near his window, staring at the city below. His assistant entered. "Sir, we found her sleeping in the alley near West Market. Same girl from the bread stall." Rayan turned. "Any family?" The assistant shook his head. "No name, no records, no parents. Locals say she's just a street child." Rayan's face turned serious. "She's not just anything." He pulled out a photo from his drawer. The same photo the silent visitor held last night. "My daughter was taken from me 12 years ago. She'd be about the same age now. You think she could be, I don't know, but something in my heart says I should not walk away." Maya's painful memory. Maya sat on a bench near the market. Children ran by, laughing. A woman hugged her son. Maya watched and smiled, but only for a second. Then her smile disappeared. A memory hit her like a wave. A small house. A woman's voice singing. A soft hand combing her hair. She shook her head hard, trying to forget. But a question burned in her heart. Who were my real parents? She didn't even know her last name. She didn't know if someone was still out there searching for her, or if they had forgotten her completely. The warning? That evening, as Maya returned to her alley, she found a paper on the ground. Not a gift this time, just a note. In big red letters, "Stop taking things that aren't yours. Street rats don't get lucky." Her hands shook. She looked around. Someone was angry. Someone was watching. The soft kindness of the last few days was now mixed with fear. But why? Who would threaten her? She had done nothing. She sat on the cold ground holding the paper. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry. She had learned how to hold back tears. Still, in her heart, the question grew louder. Who am I? And why do they care? The sky was dark, but Maya couldn't sleep. She kept staring at the red warning note in her hand. Its words felt sharp, like they had cut her heart. Stop taking things that aren't yours. Street rats don't get lucky. Her eyes moved across the alley. There were shadows everywhere. She felt unsafe, like someone was watching her every move. The soft blanket that once made her feel warm now felt like a trap. She folded the paper and hid it inside a tin can. Why? Would someone hate me for getting a sandwich and a clean shirt? She whispered. The return of the stranger. Suddenly, a soft footstep made her jump. A figure stepped forward from the darkness. It was the same man who had spoken up in the market. The man who had said, "She's not trash." He wore a long black coat and looked calm, but his eyes held a storm. He placed a bag near her feet and said gently, "Don't be afraid." Maya stood still, not moving. She wanted to trust him, but her life had taught her to be careful. Still, his voice sounded like safety. The man sat a few feet away and spoke again. "You don't have to speak, just listen." The letter. He pulled out an old folded letter from his pocket and placed it on the ground between them. "This was written 12 years ago," he said, "by a woman who lost her child." Maya's heart began to beat faster. "She was my wife," the man continued. "Her name was Layla. She died in an accident. But before she died, she wrote this." He opened the letter and read softly, "To whoever finds her, her name is Maya. She has a small scar under her left ear. She loves flowers and always sings herself to sleep. Please tell her I love her more than the stars in the sky." Maya's lips parted and her hand moved to her ear. There was a tiny scar she had always wondered about. She whispered, "Maya, that's my real name?" The man nodded. The scar and the memory tears filled Maya's eyes. She didn't know how to process what she had just heard. "I thought I didn't have a family," she said. The man's voice softened. "You had one and maybe still do." He gently showed her the photo he kept in his wallet. A young woman smiling, holding a baby. Maya leaned closer. "That baby, that's me?" Man didn't answer directly, but his eyes said yes. He then placed a hand on his chest. My name is Rayan. I think I might be your father. Maya's fear. Maya took a step back. Her head was spinning. How could this man be her father? Why had no one come for her all these years? She looked down at her dirty feet, her torn pants. Why now? She asked. Rayan replied gently. I searched. For you. But the people who were supposed to protect you lied. I only found your mother's letter last year. Since then, I've been looking in every street. Maya sat down again, not sure what to feel. Part of her wanted to run. Part of her wanted to fall into his arms. But there was one thing she knew. Someone had lied. The hidden enemy far away, a woman named Ms. Dahlia, was sitting in her rich home drinking tea. She looked angry. She had been the one sending the red warning. 12 years ago, she worked in the orphan center where Maya was supposed to be placed after her mother's death. But Dahlia had hidden the baby for money. She had lied to the father. She had said the child died in the fire. Now Maya was alive, and Rayan had found her. Dahlia clenched her fists. I won't let her take everything from me, she said. She's just a street rat, and she will stay in the dirt. Back to Maya. Maya looked at the food Rayan had brought her. It was hot rice, chicken, and fruit. She hadn't eaten like this in years. She picked up the spoon, but her hand trembled. I don't want to owe anyone, she whispered. Rayan smiled. You don't owe me, I owe you. Years I should have been your father. Maya finally took a bite. It was warm, soft, and made her eyes water. Not because of the taste, but because someone cared. She didn't say thank you. She didn't have. The stars were bright above the city, but Maya sat quietly in the alley, holding the photo Mr. Rayan had given her. In the picture, the baby smiled wide. The woman beside her had kind eyes, the same eyes Maya often saw in her dreams. Was this really my mother? Maya whispered to herself. She touched her scar again, the one under her left ear, the same one the letter had mentioned. Everything matched. But something inside her was scared to believe. What if it was all a lie? What if she got her hopes up, again, only to be hurt? A father's regret. Rayan sat near her, silent. He didn't try to force her to talk. He just waited, like a father would. After a while, he spoke softly. I lost your mother in a fire. The house burned down, and I was told my daughter died too, but they lied to me. He took a deep breath, then added, someone didn't want me to find you. And I think that someone is still trying to keep us apart. Maya looked at him. Why would anyone do that? I don't know yet, he said, but I promise, I will find out. The woman behind the lie across town, Ms. Dahlia, stood in her looking at a file she had hidden for years. Inside were documents with fake stamps. A report that said, child deceased. A forged letter from the fire department. She had written it all herself. Why? Because she had taken money from someone who wanted the baby gone. And now, that baby had grown into a girl who was back in the city. A girl people were starting to notice. A girl whose real father was rich and powerful. If she finds out the truth, everything I built will fall, Dahlia muttered. She picked up her phone. End this, now. The man in the shadows. That night, as Maya lay under her blanket, someone moved through the darkness. A man in a gray hoodie crept into the alley. He had a small bottle in his hand, filled with something that burned when touched. He poured the liquid near Maya's things. But just as he struck a match, a voice shouted from behind. Hey, step away! It was Rayan. He ran toward the man. The man dropped the match and ran. Rayan didn't chase him. Instead, he checked Maya. She was awake now, her eyes wide with fear. What was that? She cried. Rayan didn't answer. He just pulled her into his arms. Someone had tried to hurt her. On purpose. The hidden file. The next morning, Rayan took Maya to a small office near the city court. He had hired a private detective named Mr. Salim. Salim opened a folder and said, We found something, sir. It's about the orphan center Maya was supposed to go to. Rayan leaned in. Salim continued, There's a woman named Ms. Dahlia. She filed Maya's death report herself. but it was never approved by the city records. It's fake. Maya's eyes filled with tears. So I wasn't just forgotten. Someone wanted me gone. Rayan clenched his jaw. Not anymore. They can't hide you now. He looked at her and added, I'm going to take you home, Maya. Maya's heart speaks. That night, Maya sat in a warm room. Clean clothes, a bed, a real pillow. Everything felt like a dream. But inside, her heart still felt heavy. She looked at Rayan, who sat across the room. He had done so much, risked so much. Still, she asked, why me? There are so many street kids. Why did you stop? For me, Rayan smiled. Because when I saw you, my heart remembered something my eyes had forgotten. He walked to her and gently held her hand. You looked just like your mother. Maya didn't speak. She simply hugged him. And for the first time in years, she cried. The city was busy, but Maya couldn't hear it. She stood by the window of a warm, quiet apartment looking out. Cars moved. People laughed. But in her heart, there was fear. Rayan was in the next room talking to the lawyer. He was trying to get Maya's documents ready, so she could finally become part of his life officially. But Maya's hands wouldn't stop shaking. She kept hearing the footsteps from that night. The man in the hoodie. The smell of burning. Someone had tried to hurt her, and they might try again. A new name, a new life. Rayan came back with a smile. It's done, he said. I've filed the case. In a few weeks, you'll legally be my daughter again. He showed her a paper. Her name was printed clearly. Maya Rayan Ali. Maya stared at it. Her name, her real name. A name that wasn't tied to begging, slaps, or trash cans. A name that meant love, family, and truth. I don't know if I deserve this, she whispered. You do, he replied. You always did. The last move of Ms. Dahlia, but not everyone was happy. Ms. Dahlia stood in a dark room watching a news report. Local businessman Rayan Ali reunites with daughter thought to be lost 12 years ago. Her lips twisted. This girl destroyed everything, she said. Behind her, the same man in the gray hoodie stood silently. I want her gone, Dahlia said. No fire this time. I want her out of the picture. But she has protection now, the man said. She's staying with Rayan. Dahlia smiled coldly. Then bring the pain to him. If the father falls, the girl will have nothing. An attack from the past. The next morning, Rayan's car was stopped by police. He was arrested for something he didn't do, an old case reopened by a fake witness. Maya saw everything from the window. No, she cried. He didn't do anything. But they took him away. A strange woman in a red scarf stood nearby, watching with a wicked grin. Maya didn't know it yet, but this was Dahlia's final plan. Take away Maya's only protector. Maya's strength awakens. That night, Maya sat alone in the big apartment. She didn't eat. She didn't cry. She stared at her mother's old letter again. Maya, you are stronger than the world wants you to believe. She read it over and over. Then she stood up. I won't run anymore. She went to Rayan's study, took his laptop, and opened the files. Maya found names, documents, photos, Ms. Dahlia's fake signature. She printed them all. She took the warning note from her tin box, and she walked straight to the police station. The police officer listens at first. The officer didn't take her seriously. You're just a child, he said. Maya looked him in the eye and placed everything on the desk. Maybe. But this child has proof. The woman who lied about me, who tried to burn me, her name is Dahlia, and I have everything you need. The officer paused. He picked up the documents, read them. His eyes changed. This is serious, Maya nodded. Then please, help him. Help my father. Justice begins that evening. Ms. Dahlia received a call. Police are looking for you, the voice said. They found something. Her heart raced. What do you mean? They have proof. The girl, she turned you in. Dahlia screamed and threw the phone. How did she? She's just a dirty street girl. But it was too late. The lies she had built were falling like broken glass. Maya's quiet victory. Back at the apartment, Maya waited by the door. And then, the elevator bell rang. Rayan stepped out. Free. He looked tired, but his smile was brighter than the sun. Maya ran and hugged him tight. "You did this?" he asked. She nodded. "I told the truth, like you always told me to." Rayan held her close. "You saved me, Maya, just like your mother saved me once." Tears ran down Maya's cheeks. But this time, they were not from pain. They were from peace. The sun was rising gently over the city. For the first time in a long while, Maya slept in a real bed, not on cold streets. She woke up to the smell of breakfast. Ryan had made eggs, toast, and hot tea, just like he remembered her mother used to make. Maya smiled shyly and said, "Thank you." He replied, "Thank you for fighting when you could have given up." Ms. Dahlia's fall later that day. Maya and Rayan visited the court. Ms. Dahlia was already there, her hands in handcuffs. Her face was pale, no longer proud. The judge read the charges: fraud, child endangerment, attempted harm, and forgery. As the evidence was shown, documents, photos, Maya's testimony, Dahlia kept her eyes low. When the judge finally said, "Guilty," Maya looked at her. She didn't smile. She didn't cry. She just whispered softly, "You didn't break me." A visit to the grave. A few days later, Rayan took Maya to a quiet hill outside the city. There, under a tree, was a small grave with flowers and a stone that read, "Layla Ali." A mother, a light Maya, stood in front of it holding her father's hand. "I don't remember her face," she said softly. "Only her voice, sometimes in dreams." Rayan nodded. "She would have been proud of you." Maya sat by the grave and placed a small note beside the flowers. It said, "I'm safe now, Mama. I'm loved." From trash to treasure. That weekend, something special happened. Rayan invited Maya to his office. There, reporters and cameras were waiting, but this time they weren't pointing at him. They were pointing at Maya. He stood beside her and announced, "This is my daughter, Maya. She once lived on the streets. She was called trash, but today she is my pride and a hero." People clapped. Cameras flashed. But Maya stood quietly, holding her father's hand. A letter to the lost ones after the event. Maya wrote something. Rayan helped her post it online. It was a letter, a message, to every child living in fear, to every kid called worthless. "I was like you. I was hungry, cold, and forgotten. People laughed at me, some hit me, some ignored me, but I found one person who didn't turn away. And that one person changed everything. Don't give up. One day someone will see your worth too. And even if no one does, you are not trash. You are a treasure." A new beginning. That night, Maya sat in her warm bed, reading a book. Outside, the stars sparkled above the city. Somewhere, another child might be sleeping in a box. Another girl might be crying alone. But Maya hoped her story would reach them, that it would give them strength. She touched the photo of her mother beside her bed. Then she smiled, because she was no longer a forgotten girl. She was Maya Rayan Ali, a fighter, a daughter, a survivor. And finally, she was free.